My thoughts on NIKKE, Goddess of Victory. Firstly, I installed this game just for the memes. I didn't think much about it, but the moment I started playing, my oh my, did everything change. I thought it was going to be just a waifu collector, but I was very mistaken. The story took me by surprise, and that will bring us to the first point. The story and world building. First, I will try and keep it spoiler free, so I won't talk about specific events that happened in the story, and we'll only talk about how I felt about the story in general. First and foremost, the voice acting is excellent, just plain and simple. Then, right at the beginning, NIKKE makes you immersed in the story. It pulls you right in. It caught me by surprise, to be honest, since I was thinking it would be similar to other gacha games. A lot of talk and not much said, but it proved me wrong. It was not afraid of being dark right from the start, and was not afraid of making dirty jokes either. The story was funny, sad, dirty, and had questionable moments, but never a dull moment. It has a big focus on the main cast while still developing side characters. And what I like most about it is that most of those side characters are playable. Not like other gacha games where you spend 3 hours doing a main quest where the main protagonist of that said quest is an NPC that no one cares about. Looking at you, Genshin Impact. The dialogue just feels natural and real. I don't know how to explain it, but most of the time gacha games bring out the family friendly power of friendship, wholesome bullshit. Not here though. The dialogue options most of the time are something most players would actually want to say, and it just feels like it's real and not just a fantasy setting. After it hooked me in at the start, I played through chapter 1 through 15 and just kept getting better and better. I just couldn't wait to upgrade my NIKKE so I could be able to play through more of the story. And that brings us to my second point. Leveling system. General upgrades and gearing. Leveling, it's pretty simple. You basically only need 3 resources to level up your NIKKEs: credits, Balta data sets, and core dust on certain level threshold. The annoying part is you need to wait a lot, because there is no way to grind this. The only steady stream of these materials is the outpost defense rewards. Other than that, you can farm the simulation room for some extra battle sets, but nothing much. This is basically an idle game, so prepare to have most of your farming being an AFK, and I don't really mind it since it means I have more time to grind in other games. Now over to gearing up. On this topic I cannot really talk much because I haven't gotten to the latest stage of leveling gear. To unlock the endgame equipment, you have to either reach a certain outpost defense level and get gear by idling, or beat the level S interception. And farming interception EX or X, whatever you wanna call it, but that's not all. That will give you golden equips, known as tier 9. But there is another tier after that known as either tier 10 or overload. To get this equipment, you need to level up the tier 9 to level 5 and then use a custom module. I have no idea yet how to get those modules because I haven't gotten far enough in the game for it to matter, nor I have the resources to level up my equipment enough. Your equips are pretty basic, they are mostly stat sticks until you get overload gear. After that, it will give you other stats like crit and reload speed, but it takes a while to get there. You also must prioritize using the right equipment for the right manufacturer. For example, using Tetra equipment for NIKKEs manufactured by Tetra will give you a small stat increase. You can also increase the stats of your NIKKEs by leveling up what is basically affection level. You basically just talk to them and give them gifts until you max out the affection level. Noting that the more copies of that NIKKE you have, the more affection levels you can have with them. With a max of 30 for normal NIKKEs and 40 for pilgrims. I'm not sure though, since I don't have many copies of pilgrim characters, so I cannot confirm, and I'm too lazy to look it up. This is not a guide after all, so I won't go into much more detail. The other way of making your NIKKE stronger is by having multiple copies of them. And that brings us to the gacha system and characters. NIKKE is pretty generous with their rates, kind of. Since the only real PT system on this game is the tickets, and you need 200 of them to get the character on the rate up banner. Having to hit hard PT sucks, but the rates are very high compared to other gacha games. NIKKE has a standard rate of 4% for getting an SSR, which is very high, and that assures you won't spend too much time without getting a shiny new SSR. And you need a lot of units to progress through the game, since you need 5 SSR characters with 3 extra copies of their own, so you have to pull 4 copies of 5 different characters to level up past 160. NIKKE has this system where you can synchronize the levels of your NIKKEs to the lowest level of the 5 characters of your choosing. It's kinda hard to understand, but every SSR unit caps at 160, and to get past that you need them at max limit break, which means having 3 extra copies of that character. There are many ways to get extra copies, but all in all it's pretty hard, but not impossible for a free-to-play to achieve this relatively fast. With time, everyone will get past the 160 wall. I've only played for 2 months and I already have 2 NIKKEs past the 160 cap. It's just a matter of time and luck until I get 5 NIKKEs past that wall, and since shift up is pretty generous, I don't think it will take that long. The characters are mostly very unique. The models are very well made and they all have their own personalities and backgrounds. You can play through kinda small light novel for each character, which is very interesting. And you will randomly get messages from characters, which I personally find pretty fun. Speaking of fun, that brings us to the next topic: events, collabs and rewards. I have played some events and collabs since starting playing this game. Comparing it to other games, this takes first place. The latest collab, for example, was a real surprise. Dave the Diver, yes, Dave the Diver made a collab with NIKKE, and it's actually pretty fun. You can dive to catch fish and ingredients, run a restaurant, and then upgrade your weapons and hire staff with the money you made. It could be almost considered its own game. This is the only collab I have played until now, but I've heard there is another one coming up, and I cannot wait to play it. The events are probably my favorite part of this game. It's basically a whole nother game inside NIKKE. The latest event was the summer event, where you had a fishing minigame. Some people didn't really enjoy it, but I really liked it. They also offer 3 sets of stories: story 1, story 2, and then the hard mode, which gives you a little interaction at the end. You can also explore and find rewards scattered around, do the missions and go to the shop to get the rewards. They offer 110 pool for standard banner and 110 pool for the rate up banner. They also have a lot of resources you can buy with the currency you get from playing the event. The other event I have played was the Last Kingdom event, and it was also amazing. The story was great, the new characters were fun, the minigame, I just couldn't get enough of it. I don't really like tower defense games, but for some reason I really liked the way NIKKE did it. The thing I really like about these events is that they are fully voice acted, something we don't see much in gacha games. Another thing we don't see much in gacha games is generosity. Other than having a high rate to get SSR, they also give away a lot of free pulls. I wasn't there during the first anniversary, but they gave away over 100 pulls and some free SSR units. Genshin could never. Speaking of pulls, that leaves us with the last topic, the cash shop. It's bad. It's expensive, and the only thing that is kind of worth it is the 30-day supply pack and the campaign package. Other than that, the battle passes are okay if you want the skin. For 20 euros you get the skin, a 10 pull and some other resources. What I don't really recommend unless you are a whale is buying gems. If you are a low spender, you will probably hate your budget from just the supply pack and the battle passes, since they can release like 3 or 4 passes at a time, like they have now. The recruitment package can also be good, but overall I do not recommend spending money, especially if you cannot afford it. Before you spend money in any game, please think before you buy. Do you really need it? Will my budget last until the end of the month? Remember that you cannot eat digital currency. With that, I will give you my ratings. Story and world building is a 9 out of 10. There is always room for improvement, but overall it's very solid and the best story of any gacha game I have played. Leveling and gearing, 7 out of 10. I'm going to be honest. Leveling is not hard and gearing is mostly intuitive, but it can be boring since there is no real grinding involved. You just have to be patient. It's an idle game after all. Gacha system, 8 out of 10. Okay. For old players this might seem a bit too high, but my experience so far has been positive. Sure, it might be hard to snipe that one character that you want, but it's still a lot more friendly than what other gachas have. I hate having to save for a character for 3 months in advance only to hit PT and lose the 50-50, and then have to go to hard PT again and not be able to get the character because I'm on wish number 87 and the banner ended. Sorry, I just had to let it out. Events and whatnot, 10 out of 10. No questions asked. This game just keeps on giving event after event. I have nothing more to add. Cash shop and passes, 7 out of 10. There are some good packages there. The passes are only worth it if you want the skin though. But overall, it's mostly what I would expect from a cash shop in a gacha game. For every score a game has that is 9 or more, I will add 0.25 points to the final score, because it compensates its shortcomings. For example, having a 10 out of 10 combat system, a game can compensate not having a great story and vice versa. Of course, if it's a 0 out of 10 story, the 0.25 points won't do much. I will also round up the number, so 8.25 becomes 8.3. Enough explaining. A bike just passed by. I will also round up the number, so 8.25 becomes 8.3. Enough explaining. Following this logic, the overall rating I give NIKKE is 8.7 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you disagree with the rating, you can always express your opinion in the comments below. I have no idea if this video will reach many people, probably not, but if you're watching, please leave a suggestion of what game you would like I review next. Have fun.